good day to you, dear friends. This is Debbie Georgiani along with Jerry Usher, and welcome. I like things in threes, as you can tell, to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And see, there is a three. We have a threesome going on here, Jerry and Debbie and you, dear listener, because you drive the show. You make it happen. You take this conversation exactly where you want it to go. We're kind of along for the ride, and we just kind of watch it evolve together. Now, hopefully, when we leave this conversation, we have a better understanding maybe about ourselves, the world around us, our faith. Maybe we're changed just a little bit, and we just have a little bit closer understanding of God. And so then Take Two would be a success. And so far, in the almost a year we've had this show on the air, that's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what's unfolding. And so we know it's Holy Spirit driven. And so please continue to pray for Take Two. Today, this morning, when we woke up, if you turned on the news, I'm sure it wasn't, the headlines and what's happening with the news stories unfolding. So many of them are just, it's sad. It's just very sad. And so we want to remember all the people that were in the crash that happened, the airplane crash, and their families, because their lives changed today forever. Their lives have changed because of this. So please remember them in your prayers.
Right. Egypt Air carrying 56 passengers and 10 crew from Paris to Cairo crashed last night. Reports are now actually they're pointing to a probable terrorist attack. We may not know ever. We may not know for a while. But debris is being found now, I believe, in an ocean area. So, as Debbie said, our prayers, our thoughts go out to all of them. I know that you, Take Two listening family, you've been praying already. So, on that note, it's unfortunate that we have to mention that sad news to start the program, but we don't want to not mention it because prayers are so needed at a time like this.
Well, and it does lead in, unfortunately, it does lead into our topic today. It really does, because today our topic is talking about how life is a miracle. It really is a miracle. The fact that we have so many things around us in this world, you talk about environmental issues, just accidental situations, all these things kind of against us, and yet we're able to still thrive. We're still able to live in this world. We're still able to be in this world. And we make it through this world. And that's a miracle in and of itself when you really look at it like that. Now, I would like to just add, I personally believe a lot of the way the synergy of this world works and the way we live in this world has a lot to do with the fact that our guardian angels are watching out for us. God gifted us all a guardian angel to be by our side, to journey with us, and I believe they keep a lot of it moving in that rhythm and in that cycle and allows us to live and thrive. And that's a miracle. So we're looking at life is a miracle. And that's important for us to remember, because as human beings, we've got to stay conscious of things like this, because it allows us to always bring God into the middle of it. It allows us to always bring God back into our daily lives and say, Lord, it's because of you that I'm living. It's because of you that I'm thriving. It's because of you that I'm able to drive on a busy freeway and make it to my destination safely. It's because of you, Lord. And so life is a miracle. Please call in right now. Share your maybe gratitude of being alive. It's really a precious gift. Number to dial, 1-800-585-9396.
All right, 1-800-585-9396. I like Debbie's description of that. When you think about it, I've thought about this so many times myself. I'm 54 years old. I have no idea how many miles I've driven an automobile. I've had a few fender benders and things like that, but some people, unfortunately, are in horrific accidents and die or are seriously injured. But it is maybe not a miracle in the most technical sense
Right.
that we navigate life, but thinking about how just you get in the car and you drive and you go places, and I think when I'm in airplanes, Debbie, I think right below me is about 36 inches of a cargo bay separating me from a 38,000-foot free fall. I don't think about it in a fearful way, but I just think about the many ways that I am just so grateful for the chances that God gives us to live every day.
Right.
And so, dear listeners, maybe you've had a close call or something. Maybe there was a situation where you should have been your life impacted very adversely, maybe an injury or an accident, and you avoided it. Maybe it was your guardian angel. Maybe some other intervention happened. But we're just talking about life today and how grateful we are for all of the gifts that we have and the ways that we make our way through the maze of everyday life and are, in most cases, able to lay our pillow on the head at night and get up the next day and do it again.
Exactly. You nailed it, Jerry. So 1-800-585-9396, that's the number to dial to be in on this conversation. Jerry, you were talking about flying, and we do fly a lot around the country to help out on pledge drives and fund drives to raise money for local Catholic radio stations. And it reminds me of a time when I was flying over this one city, and we were coming in, and there was this really kind of interwoven, massive looking freeway system, and it just had all these fast. You could see it from up in the sky when you were flying, and you were flying into the city. And I remember looking down, and you just see and when you're in the plane, the cars look so little. They look like little matchbox cars, and they look so little. And you're looking down, and you're watching all the movement, and it just seems to move. It has a rhythm to it. It has a method to it. But as I was looking down and watching all of these cars weave in and out of the lanes and going really fast, and I thought to myself, there was two thoughts that came through my head. One of them was, wow, if just one person got out of the step, out of that flow of traffic, there could be an accident, and then somebody's life is changed forever. But yet, and then I looked down again and I see it moving so rhythmically, and I went, all I could do is say, Lord, this is miraculous to watch this happen. Everybody, you don't know who's next to you driving. You don't know, but we're all assuming, if you will, we all have the confidence in each other that we're going to move at the right speed. We're going to move in the right direction. We're going to change lanes at the right time. We're going to be looking on the right side and the left side of our car. We all think that way. So I do believe, Jerry, that the guardian angels, especially during traffic times, they really are working hard. I do. I really believe they are helping us, because I have had some close calls, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it must have been my guardian angel. And so this is interesting, and I really believe this is all part of God's miraculous plan for us to be able to live in the world when things are all at us, if you will, or could be potentially dangerous to us, but yet we live, but yet we thrive.
Well, and right before we take a quick pause here, another thing that has always struck me in this regard is families. When you bring kids into the world and you think, how many things could go wrong? My child could fall out of a tree, just playing in a tree, or walk out in front of a car, or cut themselves with a knife in the kitchen or something. It really almost is a miracle that more bad things don't happen.
Exactly.
Bad things do happen. But I've thought about this. Debbie, you're a parent. I've never had kids, but I've looked at families and I've thought, boy, just the trust.
Yeah.
And God's protection, God's help, God's grace. So we have some calls coming in here. Our number is 1-800-585-9396. We're talking about today just, again, using the word miracle a little bit loosely, not in the most technical sense, but life is a miracle, and just making it through life every day. It's got its challenges, but are you grateful to God that you manage, you navigate, and even more than that, you thrive? Tell us how you're grateful for that. 800-585-9396.
St. Augustine once wrote, "Question the beauty of the earth, question the beauty of the sea, Question the beauty of the air spread around everywhere. Question the beauty of the sky, the sun making the day glorious with its bright beams, the moon tempering the darkness with its shining rays. Question the animals that move through the waters and amble about on dry land. Question all these things. They all answer you, here we are. Look, we're beautiful. Their beauty is their confession. Who made these beautiful, changeable things, if not one who is beautiful and unchangeable? All creation shouts to us that there's a God, and just as a painting gives us a glimpse into the heart of an artist, all creation tells us that God is beautiful. But if we don't take time to question the beauty all around us, we won't hear that. So stop and smell the roses. I mean that literally. God wrote 2 books, Scripture and Creation. We should spend time reading both. This is Chris Stefanik from RealLifeCatholic.com on EWTN Radio.
May is dedicated to our Blessed Mother. Visit EWTN's Facebook page to see the many ways EWTN viewers and listeners around the world are celebrating Mary's Month. #MayAltar.
This is Father Joseph Mary.
This is Dr. Ray Garendi, host of The Doctor Is In.
Hello, this is Bishop Mike Siss from the Diocese of San Angelo, Texas. Thank you for listening to the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
We're so glad you're with us on Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie. We're talking about how every breath we take is miraculous. It's really amazing. We just had 2 great calls that were on talking about surviving a car accident, and if you just dropped somehow, I didn't catch the names, but if you could call back, one was from Iowa Catholic Radio. If you could call back, I want Luann, I think it was Luann. Luann, if you could call back, I wanted to ask you a question, something that was said in the comments. I wanted to ask you about the accident, but please, if you can remember to call back. Well, we'll move right ahead to Louise in Alabama, listening on Archangel Radio, listening to EWTN Radio. Hi, Louise. You're first up on Take 2. Share with us about your take on this Life is a Miracle.
When I was 23 years old, I was assaulted and my carotid artery was nicked, and the doctors were able to repair it easily, but a very close friend of mine who's a doctor said that if it had been severed, I would have bled out within minutes. And I really think the only reason it wasn't severed is because that morning I just happened to put on a turtleneck sweater that was handmade and it was really thick, a hand knit sweater. And it saved my life, and I'm just so grateful to be alive. And that was a long time ago. It was over 30 years ago. And I've often said that there are a lot of people who can tell you everything that's gone wrong in their lives, but they don't take the time to think about what's going right, what's going beautifully.
That's true. That's very
true. And we all need to do that.
Louise, can I ask you a couple questions about the assault that happened when you were 23? Are you okay talking about it?
Oh, yeah,
okay.
I'm fine with it. It was a long time ago.
Okay. So, Louise, when that happened to you, and at the time you obviously felt that something had happened to your body and something was hurt or cut. Were you conscious? Were you conscious? And can you share with us what were your first thoughts?
That I needed to get some help. I was conscious, and I knew that I was hurt badly, and I got to the phone and called my parents' house.
Wow.
And my mother's housekeeper, who was like a second mother to me, answered the phone, and I told her that I was hurt very badly. But I wouldn't tell her what had happened. I was just kept saying, I'm hurt real bad. And
sure.
She got in touch with my father, and my father called the police department. They said, they'd had a call, and an ambulance came and got me, and I went to the hospital and all that.
Now, at 23 years old, were you practicing your religion, or were you spiritual?
Not really. I was not walking with God, but I have said and I talked that He was walking with me that day. He was walking with me the whole time.
I was just going to say that, because the fact that you put on the turtleneck, I don't believe was an accident. I
don't think so at all.
Right, and I believe that God allowed your guardian angel to say, I think this turtleneck would look good today with what you're wearing. Mm-hmm. And because of that you're here. So now that you have been spared, because you had this happen to you, which, like you said, you could have bled to death, and so now you're here. So obviously, God has a grander purpose for you.
Mhm. I don't really know what that is. I just to practice my faith and do the right thing and try to lead other people to the faith. And
cool, very good. Well,
that sort of thing.
That's a purpose right there, Louise. But before I let you go, real quickly, if you could just do this for me, I would greatly appreciate it. If you could just incorporate in your prayers, in your daily prayers, just asking God what His purpose is for you, because all the years I've done catechetical training, I can tell you that when somebody's life is spared, especially the way yours had happened with just just a slight little move one way or the other, and you could have possibly not been here. God has a grand purpose. He really does.
Well, when we heard Matthew Kelly speak a while back, and he said, "Why are we here?" and I wanted to raise my hand and say, to touch other people's lives in a positive way. I think we are to touch other people's lives in a positive way.
There's your purpose.
That's right. And Louise, you've obviously done that. And you just did that. You just touched a lot of lives through Global Catholic Radio. So thank you for your call from Mobile, Alabama. And what a beautiful story, Louise. Thank you so much for joining us on Take Two.
I really enjoy your program.
Thank you. Please keep us in your prayers. And before we go to the next call, I just got an email from our social media guy, Jeff Burson. Morley Safer of 60 Minutes has passed away.
Oh, wow.
And he was a favorite of a lot of people. And it's noteworthy, especially or in particular, because he one time interviewed Mother Angelica on 60 Minutes.
Oh, wow.
So everybody pray for the soul of Morley Safer and comfort and consolation for his family, the longtime host on CBS's 60 Minutes. Back to your phone calls. B in Denver, listening to EWTN Radio on Denver Catholic Radio. Hello, B. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, how are you?
Fine. Much better now that you've called.
Thank you. I just have a story that changed a miracle in my life, and I do believe it was a miracle that I'm still alive today. Back when my children were small, we went up. I live in Colorado, and there's this part of the mountain called St. Mary's Glacier, which is about 10,000 feet up, and it has a part of the mountain where it never melts throughout the year. And there are people climbing. It's a beautiful, beautiful day out. And he was 10 years old at the time, I think. He saw these kids sliding down side of the mountain, side of the glacier into this meadow. And he said, "I want to do that, Mom." And my husband was like, "I don't really want to go climbing that high." So I said, "I'll take him." So we went around the boulders and up to the top and went kind of up high. And I put him on my lap, and we were headed toward that meadow. But the mountain kind of took us to the right, where the kids were off to the left. We went to the right and really fast down the mountain. And it ended up in a brook where all the glacier was melting into this brook. And I tried everything to maneuver my body to go to the left where everybody was, but we were just coming down so fast. And every time I tried to grab the side of the mountain, my son would slip off me, so I just held him tight, and I knew I was coming down. I was like praying, "Dear God, protect us," and I knew we were going to hit. And sure enough, we flew off of the edge and into the brook, and I took the brunt of it because he was on my lap, and he kind of flew off. But I landed in the brook, and I just remember thinking I was just very still in that brook, and I must have blacked out, obviously, because I just remember this beautiful sky, and you hear these, stories about the light, and the end of the tunnel, and you just see this bright light. I remember seeing this beautiful and just feeling just so peaceful and not really floating, not really seeing myself on the ground or anything, but just floating, and just a very peaceful sense of, being. I don't know. I just can't describe the feeling. It was just incredible. And I just remember saying to the Lord, if you're ready to receive me, Lord, I'm ready to go. All of a sudden, I hear my husband shaking me. He's like, "Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you?" And I woke up, and it was just amazing. From the tip of my head to the bottom of my toe, I felt this extreme pain all of a sudden streamed through my body, and I was just all of a sudden just back to life, and just back to this earthly pain. And thanks, there was this doctor in the area. Everybody kind of rushed to me, and they carefully took me out of the brook, and they, he was very careful not to, because he was afraid I broke my neck and stuff, but he kind of did a quick examination, decided to take me out of the brook because I was like shivering, I guess, and they were going to lifeline me out, but they didn't have a landing where the helicopter could come, so they had to, the ambulance had to hike up the same hike we came up with the gurney, and they took me down, hiked me down in the gurney, and took me to the ER. And what happened was, that evening was more of the miracle was that, after several X-rays, the doctor could not find one broken bone in my body. And
wow.
He just could not believe. They kept on looking, and he couldn't believe I survived, because he said several people die on that mountain, a year. And he said, "It's a miracle. We can't explain why you don't have one broken bone in your body." I mean, I looked like I was in a car accident, but
well, B, this is absolutely astounding, really, when you think about it. And what I was thinking of is just probably the adrenaline that was going through B. I think you mentioned, B, you had your son with you and trying to grab onto the glacier and the ice, and your hand would slip off, and your first concern is your son. And, Debbie, I think we go into a different almost state of mind in a situation like that.
Yeah.
In a positive sense. I think something overtakes or overcomes us sometimes, and we're able to endure things that we otherwise wouldn't, or we make decisions that are just snap decisions that are sometimes the right ones. And I don't know, but obviously a lot of divine help, it sounds like, in B's situation too.
Well, yeah, and how our bodies are designed by God with the adrenaline and the cortisol rush when we're in with doom and an accident about to happen, and there's that rushing that you're talking about that happens in our body that can allow us to do almost supernatural things in that sense when you're trying to survive. But B, where I said I personally believe that I could explain it, you called out to God. While it was happening, you had the presence of mind to call out to God. God was there. I believe your guardian angel never left you. I believe your son's guardian angel was there, and all of that combined, I mean, your life was spared. And I was gonna, I know we got to go and take a break in just a moment. This is one break we can't move, but I was going to ask you the same question I asked Louise. Is that you've been spared? It's miraculous. And so, real quickly, I mean, have you kind of reconciled that wow, I've been spared? God has a plan for me. Has that crossed your mind?
Yes, absolutely. Almost every day, I thank God for my life and my children, and my grandchild, because I now the same son. He now has a grandchild. Has a grandchild, and I just thank God every day, and I try to make use of it, and I minister use of our parish, and I try to make a difference in their life every day. I pray to God that He puts me in a position where it will make a difference.
Beautiful. Well, just like Louise said, trying to make a difference and touching people's lives. That's what we're here for, to get people closer to God. Thank you, B. Thank you for your miraculous story, I believe. And it's just amazing to hear how God is present when we need Him, when we call out to Him, and how beautiful that is.
Yeah, I can remember times in my life. Again, I've mentioned I've not had anything really, really major happen in terms of like what our callers are describing, or accidents or injuries or anything, but just near occasions where your whole, they say your life flashes before your eyes.
Oh, it does. It truly does.
I don't know if that's what happened with me or not, but you just suddenly realize, Debbie, your mortality comes into full focus. And of course, when things do settle down and you make it through, like B and Louise have shared, you have this sense of gratitude and purpose. It's like, wow, Lord, thank you. Thank you for being there and being a part of helping me get through that experience.
Absolutely. It's a real strong sense of gratitude prevails after going through something like that. Wow. You guys are awesome. Your calls are amazing. Keep calling. We want to hear from you, 1-800-585-9396. You hear that music, so we'll be right back in just a few minutes.
Get an insider's look at the latest information from EWTN. Sign up for Wings, EWTN's weekly email newsletter. Get the latest information about live events, special features, and guests. Connect with EWTN on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Just go to EWTN.com and click on the Wings link to sign up. Don't miss a minute of all that's happening at EWTN. Get your wings today.
I'm Raymond Arroyo with Mother Angelica, A Remarkable Life. In 1946, Sister Angelica was having difficulty with her knees. The 5-story monastery and the constant kneeling had caused them to fill with water. So the sisters sent her here to Canton, Ohio, to the Sancta Clara Monastery. It was a new foundation. Within days of arriving, the swelling subsided, and the sisters decided she did indeed have a religious vocation. Stay with EWTN as we continue to celebrate the life and legacy of Mother Mary Angelica.
This is Patrick Coffin. Join me for Catholic Answers Live. It's 2 hours dedicated to Catholic apologetics and evangelization. Designed for Catholics and non-Catholics alike, it's your opportunity to hear from and talk with some of the leading apologists and theologians in the church today. You've got questions? We've got Catholic Answers. Catholic Answers Live, weekdays 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
I'm Jerry, she's Debbie. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio. Today talking about how life is a miracle. Maybe, again, not in the most technical sense of the word miracle, but sometimes we look and we think, wow, it's miraculous that I made it through this or that experience, or even just as Debbie has pointed out, day-to-day life, driving on the freeway,
walking in a park.
Yeah,
I mean, seriously, you never know.
Having kids who you can't be with them every second of the day.
That's
and
right.
how do they not end up beat up, banged up, and in trouble? So 800-585-9396. Thanks for holding, each one of you. Jesus is next in Kenosha, Wisconsin, listening to EWTN Radio up there. Hello, Jesus. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Yeah, this is Jesus. And,
Yep.
I live in Wisconsin.
Sure. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I had an accident 8 years ago at work, and I really messed up my back. My whole body went to one side. Most of my discs flew out. And I had an accident, and I couldn't walk anymore. I was just laying down everywhere,
Are you able to? Yeah. Are you able to walk now, Jesus? Has that been resolved, or are you still having difficulty with that?
Okay. The doctor did a surgery. He put 6 screws, plates, rubber discs, and he did the surgery, and that was worse. And I couldn't walk. I couldn't sit. I couldn't stand up. I was in plenty pain and sleeping on my side for months. And finally, I had some of my friends who were inviting me to a Emmaus retreat.
Okay.
And finally, I went to the retreat, and when I got to the parking lot, I parked there, and I was praying all of a sudden, when I never prayed. And I asked God, I'm here, this weekend's yours, You do whatever you want with me. I can't walk. You're the only one that can help me. I repent of all my sins. And I promise you, if you hear me, I will serve you. I will serve you to the last day of my life. And I used to drink a lot too, so I told him, if you hear me and take away all this drinking problem, and I will serve you forever. You know, whatever you want. You tell me what you want me to serve you with. So I walked into this retreat, and as soon as I walked in, I started crying. I felt this presence in my heart, you know, this presence that I never felt before, and I started crying. Mostly, I cried through the whole retreat. It was 3-day retreat. Mm-hmm. And by Saturday at 6 p.m., I was sitting in a chair with 70 guys in the retreat, and they put this thing on my eyes, you know, and they're studying everybody at one at a time, you know, taking this part of the retreat. And I was the last guy off the chair. 3 hours sitting in the chair. When I could have said for 10 minutes, I had to get up and half an hour to straighten out. But I saw this heat going through my stomach all the way through my back. And when I got up off that chair, God totally healed me.
Wow.
Wow. Totally healed.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had nerve damage in my legs. That went away.
Yeah.
And 0 pain in my back.
Wow.
And my drinking problem, 2 weeks later, I went to this party and all my friends were drinking in. And they're like, what, you're not going to drink with us anymore or what? And I said, I don't need to drink. I don't need that stuff anymore.
Right.
I have God in my heart.
That's right. You kept your promise, Jesus. You kept your promise to Jesus.
Yeah, and 3 weeks later, this lady invited me to go pick up some stuff in some town called Elgin. And on the way there, I wanted to throw up. So I told her, she was a pretty lady, you know. So I told her, you know what, I want to quit throwing up. I don't know what's going on here. And she said, there's probably be something strong at that house. You know, some strong, so God's letting you know there's going to be something strong there. She's letting you know, so you be ready to pray. We get there, and we walk in the house, and all of a sudden this little girl starts crying, 3-year-old little girl, and then they're going to go finish some stuff, so they gave me the little girl so I can hold her for them. And all of a sudden, I was feeling that God was telling me to pray for her and put my hand on her stomach. So I was doing, and I put my hand and I started praying for her. She started sweating. Her stomach starts jumping up and down. She falls in the spirit. I get up and I run to the kitchen. You know, what's going on, you know? And next day, the lady called and says, you know what? The little girl is healed. She went to the bathroom and threw some green stuff or something, and she was totally healed.
Right.
And that's when God, you know, let me know, hey, I want you to pray for the sick.
Right, pray. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Zeus, a couple things I just wanted to share because there's so many parts of your story that I just wanted to comment on. First of all, I just wanted to say I'm so glad and we're so blessed that God allowed the healing in your life to happen with you physically so that you are able to do God's work in prayer and continue your purpose that God has designed for you. I mean, you share our Lord's name, Jesus, and so that you had you have the relationship with Jesus. Obviously, you called out to prayer to Him before you went on retreat, and He answered your prayer in a very real way. The one thing I just would and I'm sure you do have this, Jesus, and I just want to just encourage you to continue. Please make sure that you have a priest. Or a pastor or a spiritual director, somebody that you can, because as you are in ministry, because it sounds like you are working actively in ministry, and right now, ultimately, it sounds like a prayer a healing ministry, please consult a priest as well, so that you can always, it's always good to have a support system around us to make sure that our discernment is proper and that we are ministering in a proper way. Just to let you know, Jesus, I have so many priests around me all the time that I tap into for direction and for guidance, and it's very important in ministry to keep it moving in the right direction. But Jesus, we are so grateful to God that you have been physically healed, and your spirit is really inspiring, and it gives us that renewed sense of hope that we can reach out to God. He answers us. He's with us. And it does provide us that future that we all have been designed to live out.
Yeah, indeed. Jesus, thank you so much for gracing our program today. We appreciate that very much. Still got a full bank of calls here. We're going to try to get to each and every one of you on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. So, Teresa, you'll be next in Cape May, New Jersey, listening to EWTN Radio. Teresa, welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. How's your day going?
Hey, good. Can you hear me?
Just fine.
Yes, Teresa.
Oh, cool. All right. I'm the one from New Jersey, Lower Township.
Right. Teresa, you got our Patience Award today, by the way.
Great. Thank you. I'm so
You're
excited. What happened was my daughter was carjacked, and she lived in Chicago. She went out to buy some stuff for her work with her 6-month-old baby at the grocery store at 10 o'clock at night. And what happened, I was in New Jersey picking up my car at the Adoration Chapel, because I usually go there in the afternoon. And as I got to the Adoration Chapel, my husband dropped me off. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm going to go back in again tonight, just for a little bit." And that was 11 o'clock. And when I got in there, I said, "Oh, I think I'm going to just stay, a little bit longer tonight, even though I was here today." And as I was praying, I started saying, "Tonight, God, I need a miracle." And I just kept saying that. I never asked for a miracle. And here, I hear the next day she was carjacked, but was able to talk her way out of it.
Wow.
So,
And did your daughter, did it say she had a 6-month-old in the car?
Yep, she was putting her baby in the back seat, and this guy pushed her in.
Oh, my
and then
goodness.
He was, driving her all around, and she was trying to make, I guess, deals with him. And like I said, I was at church at 11 o'clock exactly. I got there 11, and she was at the store at 10. And then this all happened, I guess, in the hour. So we're like an hour. It was an hour difference at that time.
Sure. Teresa, I mean, you I know you see this because you lived through it, and your daughter did as well, but you see the miracle in this, that I would call it. I mean, you were open to going to adoration. You had that regimen set up, that discipline set up of going to adoration. You were called back into adoration. You asked God for a miracle. Why would you ask God for a miracle? Well, you knew why, because down deep, something was potentially could have been really very harmful to your daughter and to your grandbaby. Right. And here God, because you were in front of the Blessed Sacrament, because you were there with Jesus. So see how your prayers, many, many miles away from your daughter and your grandbaby, affected their situation, I believe. It's huge. It's huge. If that doesn't give all of us confirmation that prayer works, I don't know what does.
Oh, but the Blessed Sacrament. I just now, I even moved around this neighborhood right next to where the church is.
You did? Wow.
I did.
Wow.
I moved from one neighborhood to where this church is, so I could be there at night, adoration, as many times as I can get there, because it's so powerful.
Right. Well, Teresa, let me ask you this question: How has that situation with your daughter? How has that impacted her life, her spiritual life?
Not good.
Really?
Nope.
Can you share a little bit real quickly about that?
Yeah, they're just worldly people, and they, I tried to talk to her husband, when I went out there, because I tried to help her. She was going to go to a psychologist, and he was saying, all that stuff, why God let this happen, it shouldn't have happened, and I just said, well, I just have to pray for these people, because, it didn't really affect their life. They go to church and yes, but nobody ever talked about it again.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so then that's what we get to do, Teresa. Along with you, we get to pray for your daughter, and it sounds like her husband, and to really pray that they are open to really receiving God's graces through this, and God's and to establish a sense of understanding for why this has maybe happened in their life. So let's all pray that happens and people are open to it. See, this is the thing. There's no accidents with God. We have to remember that. There's no accidents. There's always a plan. And we have to we can either be in cooperation with that plan or we're working against it. And a lot of times we work against it just from our own fallen nature. We just pull away.
Well, this is the kind of thing too where seeds were planted.
Right.
In her daughter's life and in her daughter's heart. So there may not have been immediate fruit that was shown from that, but I think, Teresa, there's a really good bet that this has never left your daughter's mind and heart. And she has to realize that it was not just human luck or fate or whatever that brought a happy solution to this situation. So seeds have definitely been planted. Teresa, your prayers are going to water those, and God will bring them to a beautiful fruition. We just have to hope and believe that will happen. So, Teresa, thank you on that note. We got to a lot of calls here, and still time for a few more of them. Thanks to all of you who are on hold for your patience on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Lori, we're going to go to you next in Elmira, New York, listening to EWTN Radio on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Lori.
Hi, how are you?
Doing fine. So what do you have to share with us today?
Well, and it kind of piggybacks on the last call. I was traveling to Denver with my boss. We are both Catholic, but she is not practicing and has been away from the church for decades. The whole time we were traveling, it was just one serious situation after another. We landed in Detroit, and part of the terminal was shut down. We found out later it was a false alarm bomb scare. She was very nervous about it, and I just kept saying to her, we're going to be just fine. We are fine. We will be fine. And she kept looking at me like, shut up. We landed in Denver, and as we were coming in for the landing, I'm very thankful I gave her the window seat, because then as we were chatting, she was looking away from the window. She's very afraid of various weather scenarios, and I could see the lightning in the mountains behind, but she couldn't see it because she was looking away from the window at the time. We landed, and it turns out that there was a tornado warning. The funny thing was we could all hear the announcement over the PA system, but none of us reacted to it. We all just kind of ignored it, even though we heard what they were saying. We ended up spending an hour in the tornado shelter in the airport. And then once we got through that, we went to dinner, and then we went walking around and just missed a stabbing.
Oh, my goodness.
And, you know, it was literally just one big thing after another. And I kept saying to her, we are fine. We are going to be just fine. And I wasn't saying it to calm both of us down.
Yeah, right.
I knew. I had complete faith that God was with us and we were fine. And I guess the miracle was the fact that not once was I even concerned. Mm-hmm. I just knew that God had us and we were fine. And I told her the next morning, as we were deciding what time to go to breakfast, I said, well, we can have breakfast at 8:30 because I'm going to 7 o'clock Mass. And I found a church and I went to Mass. Mm-hmm. I figured after everything he had gotten us through, I needed to go to Mass. But it was just that huge miracle.
Right.
Of his faith and the comfort of knowing he had us.
Right. Lori, I see so much in your story. It's just amazing. There's so many catechetical teachings we could pull from your story. Because first of all, you said that you're both Catholic. Your boss was non-practicing Catholic. You went through this just kind of comedy of errors, if you will,
It is really funny now.
Right. But here's the thing. You maintained your sense of peace. You maintained, like you said, you knew you were going to be okay. Then you went in gratitude to God the next day at Mass. But see, again, going back to what Jerry said, you planted those seeds with your boss. You planted those because I'm sure you had conversations while you were on your trip, and I'm sure maybe you didn't actually verbalize it to her, but maybe she just knew, wow, it's because Lori has such a strong faith. It's because Lori believes and trusts in God. Those things stick with other souls. And I don't believe there was any accident that you were with your boss at that time and all those things happened because God wants each and every soul to be touched, and he will use every single way he possibly can to reach every one of us to turn our hearts closer to him. That's the way he works. Yeah, go ahead.
Woman, though, it didn't, obviously doesn't have immediate impact. But within the last year, she and I were having a conversation, and it was a long overdue conversation about things that weren't working right at work. And at one point during the meeting, she said to me, "How do you do it?" Because she found out there were things that frustrated me as much as she did. And I looked at her and I said, "I pray. And there are times in the middle of the day I will send out a text or an email asking for prayer support." Mm-hmm. I said, "You have no idea how many times I've sent out a text or an email in the middle of the day asking for prayer support." It's...
Right.
And she started to see that's just my first reaction is to pray.
Right. So there you go.
And
you're
being the difference,
Right. You're being a living witness to your boss. There's more. That's why a lot of people, when they say, "Well, this is my job. This is what I do," our jobs are also the way we bring money into our households to feed ourselves and clothe ourselves and take care of ourselves. Absolutely. But our jobs can also be a ministry because God uses every single opportunity. And so there you go, right there. You have a ministry / your job. I mean, that's awesome, Lori. I mean, keep that up. Yeah, and please let us know when your boss comes back into practicing being a practicing Catholic. Will you do that, Lori? Thank you so much for that call. Great call.
Thanks, Lori. Indeed, you mentioned, Debbie, the importance of being a witness in the workplace, and this was a traveling situation, but with our fellow workers as well. Labor is a very blessed thing. We are called to approach it and do it to the best of our ability and always let our light of Christ shine. So, Lori, you did that in a beautiful way. Thank you. Lucille in New Hampshire is up next, listening on EWTN Radio, Sirius XM 130 in New Hampshire. Hi, Lucille. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thanks.
I just wanted, there's so many stories I could tell you if you had all day. Oh, God.
I wish we did.
I know, but I was praying which one to tell. And when I was a teenager, I was the youngest of 8 in a very tumultuous family. And I was kind of left on my own. So around 16 years old, I was hanging around with this girl who probably was maybe 19 at the time. And so we ended up going to this little 2 towns over, hanging out with these people that we really didn't know. And I really didn't know her as well as I really probably should have. And so what ended up happening was I ended up being left alone in this town, like at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. She went off with someone, and I ended up not knowing what to do. And it was 2 towns over, so 16 years old, walking down a very country area. So this guy was there, and he ended up, "I'll give you a ride home." So I said, okay, because there's no way to get home. And I've always had faith. I've always felt God's presence in my life when I was a child, always. And so I get in the car, and we drive, and this guy was probably, he'd say, about 19 or 20, and he lived in this town, so he brought me down this very, very dark road and pulled over. And like I said, he knew where he was taking. And just as he started to try to come on to me, a car came down the road, and the headlights just flashed on his car. Now, being from the town, he knows that nobody goes down this road. He sprung up so fast, started the car, and took me home.
Wow.
There should have not. I think of this. I'm 56 years old. This is 40 years ago, and it's like it was yesterday. And I don't know what would have happened to me. I kind of know, but I think he was so shocked that someone came down that road, because no one ever does.
Yeah. Lucille, this is, we don't know. I mean, we may never know. It could have been. God chooses to intervene in situations in a lot of different ways, and our guardian angels, there are stories of guardian angels or other angels manifesting themselves in human form, or God could have just miraculously had a car come down that street, or it could have been somebody who was lost, or we don't know. But the beautiful thing is
God knows.
God was watching out for you in such a beautiful way right there. You said, Lucille, you don't know what might have happened. Your life, how different would your life have been? I mean, it could have ranged from anything from sexual assault to maybe losing your life or something. You just don't know. And so, it has to have brought a great deal of gratitude. You said it was 40 years ago, but I'm sure it's still very fresh in your mind, and your gratitude has still got to be very, very strong to God for helping you out of that situation.
Absolutely, absolutely. Lucille, thank you for sharing your story. Sorry, I was so sorry you had to go through that as a youngster, but we're glad you're here with us and telling your story, because it allows us to grow closer to God and have more of a sense of gratitude for our lives, and every day that we take our breath and every day that we live. It is truly miraculous that we are here. And what are we doing with that life? That's the question that I put out there for all of us to really think about and ponder, is that God has a purpose for all of us. He wants us, like, I go back to our original first caller, Louise, who said to impact others, to help others. That ministry is huge, to bring others closer to Christ. And so God bless you for sharing your story. And thanks to all the other callers. Thank you, Lucille. Have a beautiful rest of your day. And one other thing I wanted to just share. Check back, dear listeners. We couldn't get to everybody today. You can keep the conversation going on EWTN Catholic Radio Facebook. Don't forget to like us on the Facebook page. Not like Jerry and I, but like the Facebook page. Okay, you can like Jerry and I too if you want to. But please check backwards. We've got a short take of the show today, and it just may be, somebody who's on the short take. What's coming up next?
Well, tomorrow we're going to talk about hospitality. What is authentic, true hospitality? Welcoming the stranger, providing a cold drink to someone who's thirsty. In a sense, kind of like the corporal works of mercy. What does it mean to be welcoming and hospitable? What's your take on that? How do you understand that, and how do you live it out in your life?
Until then, Jerry and I want to wish you a beautiful and blessed day, but stay tuned in to all the EWTN programs. They're awesome today. Well, they're always awesome. See you tomorrow.
Dr. Ray is up next, in fact,
That's
so stick
right.
around for that.